All right. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Irene de Jesus.
And I'm Hector de Jesus.
And we are the De Jesus Law Group. And this is the noon show.
Because it's noon somewhere in the world.
Right. And so we are in Eastern Standard.
Which we pretty much live in Florida, so we are in Eastern Standard Time.
So that's where we are now. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
And what do we got going on? Oh, wait a minute. Disclaimer. You need to do the disclaimer.
We are attorneys. However, we're not necessarily your attorneys. That can be remedied by phone call or just contacting us. But this is educational and informational purposes only.
Yeah, this is fun. So we love doing this weekly noon show. And seriously, we'd love you to interact with us. So if you've got any questions at all and you'd like to post those, when we'll have that available, and anything that we're talking about today, she'll have those links in the chat box. Why are you sitting all the way back there? Do I need to sit back too?
No,
okay. Here we go.
We're doing this.
Don't do that. It'll make us dizzy. Anyway, so if you've got questions, please post them in the chat box, and Win will have all the links that we need in there, anything that we're talking about today. So that'll be pretty cool. All right, what do we got going on?
Well, we have Wine and Wills on Wednesday.
Okay, this is big. This is huge. So that like quiet little voice, I'm telling you, it doesn't get out there. The magnitude of this, it's been a year. It has been an entire year. It has been 12 months since we have been live and in person educating the community on what does it look like to get plans in place, right? For you and your family. So we're going to be doing that, our very first one in a year, and we're going to pair it with wine. Like, how much more fun does that get? And it's going to be with one of our great partners that we personally use, Dr. Ariel and Dr. Wes. They are chiropractors. They're in New Smyrna Beach, and they're off of 44. I think we figured out it was the T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile. They're right beside T-Mobile. Victoria Square? Oh, you know what? When we'll have all of that in the chat box. We are continent, aren't we?
Yeah. I am.
Competent and continent.
And except for the slight dementia moment with saying it was Wednesday, it's actually Tuesday.
Oh, you're right. It is. It is Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday at 6:30. It's very, very limited seating because we're doing it with, all the precautions in place and social distancing and all that great stuff. But you guys, I cannot wait. So I hope that I'm going to get to meet and greet you guys. We're going to basically go over 101. 101 wills and trusts. Yep. What is it? And why might you need one? All right. What else we got going on?
Well, this is March's Social Worker Month.
I know. And we have an amazing special guest on that we really want to introduce you to. But before we get there, because this is Social Worker Awareness Month, we do have a special offer this month. What is it? What's that great, cool offer we have?
If you do a family wealth planning session, you get a massage. Yeah,
we'll be giving you a gift card for a massage therapist. We know a few that are amazing, but you might already have one of your own that is amazing. So we'll give you a gift card for that. And then anything else going on, or can we get right into it, do you think? I think we can get right into it. So March is Social Worker Awareness Month. And Hector and I have a very long career in the healthcare system, right? We started out as nurses a very long time ago. And social workers have always played an integral part as we're doing holistic care with our patients, right? And it's just appropriate, I think, that this month being Social Worker Awareness Month, I would love to introduce you to one of my favorite social workers, and her name is Meghan Budvarson. So Meghan, she was born in West Virginia. You go, girl. But the thing that amazes me the most is she was in the military, right? She actually served in the Navy, the U.S. Navy. And so with that, Meghan, I'm going to have her talk a little bit more on it. What?
No, I was just going to say Meghan also has various degrees and masters, but she just finished her PhD.
She just did her doctorate.
Yeah, in public affairs from the University of Central Florida. So you can finish.
But I'm going to want to ask her a little bit more about that and then how that impacts her work too.
Yep. But
She's
a
married.
licensed clinical social
Yep,
worker.
she is. She's an LCSW.
LCSW.
Yep, LCSW. I've known her for many, many years. She is amazing. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's married to Josh. She's got 2 beautiful girls that we've personally been able to meet and get to really get to know them. And she also plays in an orchestra, right? And she's pretty amazing, a jazz ensemble as well. So we're going to talk to her more about all those things. But would you bring her on? Oh, there she is. Meghan, how are you?
I am wonderful, and thank you for having me.
Well, I couldn't think of a more appropriate person that we could talk to about Social Worker Awareness Month because you live it and breathe it. And
I do.
yeah, and
Every
so
day.
first of all, tell us what you do as your everyday job, but I'm dying to hear about how your doctorates went, when you finished that, and then how does that impact the work you do now? I know that's 9 million questions in one, but go for it, girl.
Okay. So what I do now is I'm a director of a program with Advent Health called Community Care. And we provide in-home services to people who don't have insurance or have very poor insurance, so to speak. And we do care coordination. So we help navigate the healthcare system because it is vast and difficult and people don't know what to do. And even I have experiences of it being very difficult to get through. And I do this for a living. So we have a nurse and a social worker on each team, and we target the people who need the most help and go in and just start plugging away from medications to services that they need in the community to just understanding their illness.
Very
Lots
good.
of
So
awesome
it
information.
is such an integrated program, especially for the folks that really are at the highest risk, right?
Yes.
They need the support to be able to really take care of themselves and their health in order to get better. So how does a social worker, what is the role of a social worker?
Well, social workers, I always tell people we're the A to Z people. So we cover everything from mind, body, and spirit. We assess physical needs, we assess psychological needs, we find resources that you would never knew existed because they're not common for the average person to know about. And we find money when there is no money. And so, and that's like, sometimes the foundation of just about everything that's needed for people, especially in the healthcare system. It's very expensive to be sick. And so we assess you from head to toe, but also your environment and your spiritual wellness as well. So without all 3 of those things being tied together and helping the person as a whole person, you're only, focusing on one little percentage of each individual. And so social workers take that whole package and say, how can we try and help you in all of these areas to improve you overall?
So Meghan, if somebody were to go into the hospital, what would be a likely, just for social work in general, so just a social work in general, what would be their first contact with a social worker?
Well, typically that would come through case management, which is inpatient case management. Then there is a nurse and a social worker case manager, but a case manager should go to every room and assess the person and make sure their discharge needs are in place. They help line up in-home care if they need it, rehab services if they need it, any kind of equipment that you need to go home with. And on top of that, just ensuring you have a safe place to go. So that should be your first contact, and within days of being, within hours, I should say, of being in the hospital, because you're really not there very long anymore. So but they help you
That's
get
the
set up
truth.
for success once you have to leave.
What are some of the tips that you may be able to give to a family member when they have loved ones, specifically, maybe a child that has a parent, elderly parent that's in the hospital? What should they be kind of looking for or asking for assistance?
So an adult child.
Yeah.
You've got an adult child
have
They're there.
mom or dad, 80 years old.
Yeah,
they
they
broke
just
their
came in.
hip. What happens next?
Yeah. How do you help them, Megan?
Well, I would say if you haven't talked to your social worker, always ask for one. And it's never, the thing about social work, it's never too early and it's never too late to work with us because we can always help at any stage in the game. And as an older um, child, for example, me, if I was in the hospital with my elderly parent, I would want to make sure all the advanced planning is in place. That is first and foremost. And if it's not, your social worker can help direct you and tell you about each of those documents that's available to you to even do right there in the hospital. And, that would include like a living will and a healthcare surrogate form. You could do 5 wishes. You could do a DNR, which can be, you can have one for the hospital, but you can also have a community one, which is a do not resuscitate that you can take home if you really are at like end of life stages. If you're not, you may not want to do that. But I tell people all the time, I don't care how old you are, you should have all of those documents in place because if 2020 taught us nothing, tomorrow is not guaranteed. And, you're never too young or too old to have a plan in place. And a healthcare surrogate should never have to make decisions for you because you should make those decisions. And all they are there to do is to relay those decisions.
Hmm.
Ooh, Megan, that was so good. That is the truth, right?
It is. It
In
is.
the hospital system, setting, a crisis is going on. That's not the time for your adult kids to figure out what your wishes might have been.
No. Well, and there's so much pressure and stress already from that. And most people want to make sure that those wishes are fulfilled. And the only way to do that is to have those conversations and have them, documented and written down. So it's
Oh, that
very, very
is so
important.
good.
How has COVID, speaking of 2020, how did
Yeah.
that affect you guys as social
Oh,
workers?
yeah.
Well, you know, the mental health crisis in the world was bad before COVID. So imagine that magnified by, 50,000
Hmm.
because, you know, and that's not just for people who already had mental health problems. That is definitely had made it worse. But people, ordinary people who never experienced depression a day in their life, now all of a sudden are isolated and can't do anything and can't talk to their friends, can't see their family, can't see their grandchildren that are just born. So the mental health crisis across the world, I would imagine, has just been astronomical. And so as a social worker, you're constantly providing support. And I don't think as a social worker we always realize that we're doing that because we don't do it just at work. It is really who you are. So you do it, you help your friends, you help your family, you help your coworkers, you help the stranger that you see in the supermarket who's struggling, and you just talk to people and listen and really help them. But COVID is job security for any kind of social worker out there, I can tell you that. And that's not a good thing, you know.
Hmm.
So, with that, Megan, talk a little bit because listen, I am so proud of you. I can't even stand it.
Thank you.
So, talk a little bit about why you went and got your PhD and then how does it help you today?
Why I went and got my PhD would be temporary psychosis. Um,
Now you know why I love Megan. Yeah.
I had a plan at the time that I wanted to go and be a tenured track research professor. I mean, that is always what I dreamed of doing. And I was in the middle of my PhD program, and um, someone offered me a job at community care, and I took it. That would be Irene, and I fell in love with the program. And the longer I did it and the higher I excelled, because I started as a social worker in this program and I'm now the divisional director, um, I- I'm where I need to be and I'm where I want to be. And so I decided after doing all that, I don't think I really want to teach, but this PhD can benefit me in so many other ways. It didn't even matter. And I was so far in, I was so invested in it that I was going to finish it. And I did, and I concentrated on oncology social work, and more specifically to that, how, the disparities across the healthcare system as far as finances are concerned. And people with cancer often die because they cannot afford treatment, or they play pharmacist for themselves because they cut their meds in half so they can have electricity for the month. And so that was my whole focus of my dissertation. And I defended in June, which was right after COVID really hit the US. And so I did include a big COVID section at the end of my dissertation and the implications that that can have. And it's just all of my predictions are kind of came true. So I'm happy about that, but I'm not happy about that at the same time. So, the money available and the resources available are just getting less and less because of the restrictions of COVID and having to, just try and stay safe, just being around people.
Megan, you bring up a good point because a couple of weeks ago, we had a special guest on. Her name was Cheryl Sullivan, and she's with the American Cancer Society. And, one of the things that her and Jamie Gallegos, she was our other guest on with the Cancer Society, was they were basically talking about how COVID has really impacted the funds, the volunteer work, right? The volunteers and all the fundraising that that happens to really bolster up the American Cancer Society, and how they're really desperate and in need for that. Are you noticing at all, Megan, that with the vaccinations starting, are you seeing any kind of alleviation, or what's your assessment on that, Megan?
Not yet. I'm hoping that that's coming as they become more readily available to the public. But they're so limited right now, and I know there are plans to open that up, and there's this big national plan to have everyone be available to be vaccinated by a certain date. I can't tell you what that is, but I'm hoping that after that it does open up more. But unfortunately, you still see people that are vaccinated that come in with COVID, and so it's not a fail-safe thing. We still have to be very cautious, and I think it's going to take a while to find out what our new normal is and what is safe and what can be. So I think that we're going to go through this phase of almost an in-between state where we can't quite get back all the way, but we're trying. And that will start opening up things. And people we got to, as a society, we got to learn new ways of doing everything. That's just the
Mm.
bottom line. I mean, we have, but I think we need to continue to do that so stuff doesn't just stop, because
Mm.
as a society, we can't afford that.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, Megan, this was amazing. It was so good to have you on. You are such a wealth of knowledge, my dear.
Oh, thank you. Back
If
at you.
anybody has questions about the community care program that Advent Health is doing, would it be appropriate to get in contact with you, Megan? Would you be the point of contact?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so I know you've probably already given Wynn, our producer, all that information. She'll make sure she gets that into the comment box. But the work that you guys are doing with that program is, I know firsthand, it's amazing. It is really, really amazing work. And I want to personally thank you, Megan, as a top-notch, the best, the most amazing social worker that I know. So coming specifically from us, thank you, Megan.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, see you later, my dear.
Bye.
Bye. She's awesome.
Yep, she's great.
She truly is awesome and amazing. The work that she is doing, what a humongous benefit to the entire community, right? It's huge. It's got big, big impacts.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so just as a closing, it's Friday. This is Friday, yay! So we've got Wine and Wills. Like Megan said, COVID, yay, COVID's changed everything, right? But this is our first time in 12 months that we will be getting back together. I cannot wait. So Wine and Wills, register for that. You must register for it. It is very limited seating. It is a free event. It will be a blast, and you will get to do wine tasting as well. So make sure you register if that's not already full. I don't know. But Win will have the link in there for it. And then the March promo for booking a family wealth planning session is what, Hector?
Schedule a family wealth planning session and you will get a massage.
Yeah. So what's a family wealth planning session?
Family wealth planning session, it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour meeting with us. You do a little bit of homework. We go over your information. We mainly find out what's the purpose, what's your goal.
Yep.
And currently, are you in a position where are there any gaps? What are some of the options you have? It's all about protecting your family and loved ones because you don't want to have to plan in the middle of a storm.
In the middle of a crisis, right? So if something were to happen to you, what would happen to your family and what would happen to your assets? And if you already have a plan in place, what is that? Do you know what it does? Do you have any idea? I would say 95% of the clients that we meet with are like, I did this like 10 years ago, but I don't really know what it says. So we walk them through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walk them through
Most of the times they have a hope, not a plan.
Right.
They hope it works, but they don't.
Yeah, but they don't know that it will. Yeah, they can't plan on it working. So yeah. And with that, you guys, it's Friday. Go enjoy the weekend if you get that opportunity to. And that's it. We'll say adios.
Go Cubs.